All right, we're on to the second market structure, which is monopoly. We're going to look at the different characteristics that we have here. All right, so we've done perfect competition. Now we're looking at monopoly, right? They're the polar opposites of each other. So monopoly is one firm. It's not a homogeneous good. It's unique. No close substitutes. Why it's a monopoly. Considerable control over the price. Not complete, but considerable. Right? They are still restricted by what consumers are willing to pay. It is a difficult, if not impossible, market to enter. And mostly advertising public relations, right? Telling you how good they are, how helpful they are, things like that. The examples are local utilities, PSE&G, and where I am, Con Edison. All right. So we talked about what are the two characteristics that cause the demand curve to be perfectly elastic, horizontal, for a perfect competitor. And those two things were price takers and identical goods. So because of that, we have the price being 5, the marginal revenue being 5, and the average revenue being 5. There's no reason to want to change the price. I can sell all the goods at that price, right? So we see that MR and price are the same because of the homogeneous, because of the price taker. I want to pound that home, get you to understand that. We talked about the curve being perfectly elastic. So we did say what's the difference for the monopolists, right? If this curve is horizontal because they are price takers and homogeneous goods, a monopolist is a price maker and he produces a unique good. So he is not going to have a horizontal demand curve, right? So a monopolist price maker produces unique products. Let's go to the chart, right? Voted #1 chart at Great Neck South High School this year. All right, so here's our quantities, right? We have 1 through 7. So we have $10 price. So 0 to 10 means the total revenue is, 10 times 1, total revenue is 10. Marginal revenue, the difference from 0 revenue at 0 units to $10 at 1 unit means the marginal revenue increased by 10. 10 over 1 gives you $10. Now, in order to sell another product, unlike the perfect competitor, this market structure, in order to sell it, they have to lower the price. So they lower the price to $9. Okay? Lower the price to $9, total revenue goes up to $18. Why 18? Right? 2 times 9 gives me 18. But what happened to marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is 10. Now, total revenue is 10. Now it's 18, which means marginal revenue changed by 8. Okay? Because the first person is no longer paying $10 for that product. That person is paying 9. Right? If I'm selling the product for 9, that person is not going to agree to pay 10. Right? Average revenue is 18 over 2 gives you 9. I'm not going to do the average revenue going forward. It's the same as the price. All right? So now, again, want to sell another product, I got to lower the price to 8. I lower the price to 8. 8 times 3 gives me 24. So my total revenue has gone up to 24. But let's look at this for a second. Total revenue is 18. It's now 24. The change, 24 minus 18, is the marginal revenue, which is 6. As you can see, only at the first unit did price, marginal revenue, and average revenue equal each other like they did in the perfect competitor. Now what happens as we lower the price, marginal revenue is less than the price. Okay, because every time we lower the price, here I lower the price, these two people aren't paying 9 anymore. They're going to want to pay 8, so we're losing $2 of the revenue that we originally had. And then add the 8, and that's where you get the 24 from. Okay? Lower the price again to 7, right? And 7 times 4 is 28. The difference, right? Revenue went from 24 to 28. That's a change of 4. So we can see that it keeps going down by another $1 each time. because we have to keep giving money back to the people before because they're no longer paying that price. All right, then we get to $6 is 30. Marginal revenue is 2. 5, marginal revenue is, total revenue is 30. Marginal revenue is 0. Okay, so we have an MR of 0 at 6 units. And if I go to 7, we're going to have a marginal revenue of negative $2. Now, as I went through this, I was saying to you, look at the chart, tell me about the relationship between MR and price. So after the first unit, we notice that MR and price, MR is lower than price at every output. Okay, so that's what you want to focus on in Monopoly. MR is less than price. Marginal revenue is less than price. All right, and then what we want to do is let's pull the chart back up for a second. What can you tell me about the monopolist's demand curve? Right, so 10, now I'm going to keep lowering the price. It is a downward sloping demand curve. So let's just recap for a second, right? The MR is less than price, and the demand curve is downward sloping. Now, let's go to the chart again. Okay, will the monopolist ever lower the price to $4? So in order to sell more goods, the monopolist has to lower the price. The question is, would he ever want to sell 7 units at $4? And the answer is no, because total revenue is actually less at 7 than it was at 6. Okay, some of you are going to argue, why even sell 6, sell 5? Okay, we can get into that debate later, but right now we're asking about $4. We are never lowering the price to $4 here. All right, now looking at this, how would you characterize the demand from $10 to $5? All right, so I'm asking you from this price to this price, what do you notice about the demand? Right, and if we were in class, I would ask this question. We would have awkward silence for about a good 90 seconds, and then someone like an Emily would get frustrated and answer, or I don't know who else. Anyway, 10 to 5. So let's look at this. As we're lowering the price, what is happening to the total revenue? Lowering the price, total revenue is going up. So price and revenue going in the same direction means from $10 to $5, or from 1 unit to 6 unit, the demand for the good is elastic. Lower the price, TR goes up. So when price and total revenue go in the opposite direction, right, then you have an elastic demand curve. Now let's add some numbers here. And what do we notice from $4 to $1? Okay, so we were at 30 at $5. Now every time I lower the price, what starts to happen? Total revenue is going down. So from here to here, price and revenue are going in the same direction. Demand is inelastic, and, right, so we lower the price, revenue goes down. Same direction, inelastic. So what does a monopolist have to do in order to sell another unit? In order to sell another unit, the monopolist must lower their price. Knowing that, we therefore would then make the argument that you would never lower the price in the inelastic range. So the monopolist has to set his price in the elastic range of the demand curve. Okay? Monopolist is setting the price, elastic range of the demand curve. Let's look at the graph. How would I find the elastic range of the demand curve? I want you all to look at the curve, think about it for a second, go back to what we talked about, and how would you find the elastic range on the demand curve? Okay, I would go here. MR is 0, right? So if MR is 0, that means total revenue is not going up anymore after this. So I would take this point, go straight up to here, and everything to the left is elastic. Everything to the right is inelastic. Because after this point, all of these outputs are causing total revenue to decrease, right? So we find where MR is 0, we go up, and that is the unit elastic point on the demand curve. Everything to the left, the upward section, is elastic. The leftward side, the lower half, is inelastic. Okay. Now we have that. Let's add our marginal cost curve. Okay, we add marginal cost. MR equals MC at 5. Okay, so we found our price, we found our quantity. We're going to sell 5 to maximize our profit, which means we're going to go up to the demand curve to find out what people are willing to pay for this product. Okay, we're going to get across, and people are willing to pay $6 for this. This whole area here, this square, 0, 6, this point in 5 is total revenue. Okay. Now we take the graph again. We add our MR equals MC curve. All right. We have our total revenue. Now we want to add in our ATC curve, which is right here. We go up to where we hit the ATC curve at 5, and we go across, and we find that the average cost is $3 per unit. Right? So I'm getting 6 per unit. It's costing me 3 to make it, which means I'm making a $3 profit per unit. Okay? 5 units, $15. This area here is economic profit. All right? You may wonder, why are we only using one ATC curve or one average cost curve? Because we don't need average variable, because we don't need to differentiate between long run and short run, because there are barriers to entry and firms are not getting in. Okay? Let's go to one last thing. So here are the steps that you want to do when you're looking at a monopolist. Right? You want to determine the profit maximizing output by going to where MR equals MC. You're going to dot that. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. It's a vertical line going straight up. If the output is less than 5, the firm is not maximizing their profit. They're leaving profit on the table. If they're producing more than 5 units, then they're giving up profit. Right? If they go to that 6th unit or the 7th unit, they're losing profit. They wouldn't do that. Okay, so we determine the profit maximizing price by going straight up to get the demand curve. We go across, that is our price. The price is not on the demand curve. You have to go across to the axes to get the price. You add your ATC curve, and that will show you whether there is economic profit or not. Determine the pure, it says pure monopolist, we're focusing on monopolists here. Economic profit by using one of 2 methods. Okay, I can do 6 times 5 is 30. That's my revenue. 3 times 5 is my total cost, which means my profit is $15. Or I can do 6 minus 3 is 3 times 5 is 15. All right, so we're going to end it on this. Let me move this out of the way in case you want to screenshot it. I know you guys love the screenshots. All right, that's how we're going to, so we're going to leave that here, and we're going to come back with some other stuff later.